and risk management and all.
Where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Market Forecast, Wednesday, May the 25th. I'm John Hoagland. Thanks for trusting me with your time. I'm having lots of fun with the technology issues that I've got going on, but I assure you they will be over soon. So an interesting trading day today. We're all waiting for the FOMC minutes meeting, the FOMC minutes, and apparently the markets like what they saw. Overall in the news, I'm seeing that the Fed minutes have indicated more rate hikes than expected. Elsewhere in the news, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has boosted GDP estimates for 2022 up to 3.1%, and they're saying that they're expecting inflation to reach 2% by 2024. So if things go as expected by the Congressional Budget Office, hopefully they're right. Who knows? When it comes to politicians, I have a little problem with trust there. As far as the markets, crude oil, we had a 1 million barrel draw in crude stocks. Didn't really change much. We're in day number 4 of absolutely no change in value of a barrel of crude oil. The E-mini S&P and the NASDAQ, our heroes, closed resolving higher, and that's good news. Did we actually find some buyers? I'll be really fascinated to see the open interest numbers tomorrow morning. You can catch those with me on the Market Forecast 745. I bet you think that was easy to say. Gold, late rally indicates short time frame traders got too short. We were looking at that this morning. We had some very short overnight inventory. We got a little bit of relief throughout the day, but by the end of the session, they started to get a little bit nervous about those shorts. 6E, the euro overnight shorts, failed to close the gap, but succeeded in the third close above the weekly kickoff high. So one of the ways that we evaluate how price is being accepted is through time, volume, and time. 3 days above weekly kickoff high, interesting. The 10-year, very narrow range, and we had value inside value by the end of the session today. Looking for new information. I don't think a lot of these markets really are. And the natural gas, aggressive early buyers just kind of brought price down. They just kind of left the building, and the market tumbled back to basically where it opened. It did close higher, however. As always, make sure you hit the lucky like button, share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are always welcome here on the Market Recap. Hopefully you had a good trading day. I see some comments here, and some good, some bad. Tachyon down 1,600 in the practice account. Some lessons I need to learn the hard way. Tomorrow, day 1 off discipline week or of discipline week. Adding stops to my micros. It's just a smart idea, traders. If you are, looking at a level for an entry, where is the point of invalidation? Where does price have to advertise to prove me wrong? And that's where you want to start putting your stops. And I always, when I have a position on, I have a stop. You've got to protect yourself. Always wear a stop. It's so important. And don't move stops. I understand if you're going to move stops closer to price as you're protecting profits, which is kind of an art form of its own that I haven't yet been able to master, but always have stops. You never know what's going to happen. You just need to put that there just to protect yourself in case something goofy happens. Glitter Sandwich, chilling with Dylan. Glitter, I'm glad you had a good, nice, successful, perfect, clean trade today. Always good to hear. And if I made a difference, it makes me happy, but it's all you, my friend. My brother Tom, good to see you. I love you. Bill Phillips, Vince, Tachyon, talking to Glitter Sandwich. Glitter Sandwich. Practice account can be as real as you let it be. Absolutely. I might look silly. It might look silly to some people, but announcing it is to this chat makes it feel more real. Absolutely. That accountability that you are allowing yourself to live through, Tachyon, is really important. Really important. Honesty with yourself and accountability to yourself with a little bit of help from our little community here is a good thing. Spencer, hope you all had a good day too. ZK, hey, I made it. I'm watching in the corner at work. Hey, ZK, good to see you. I'll whisper. They won't know. Drum Lab, thanks for the great content. My pleasure. My goal is your success, absolutely. And if I can play a little part in it, that's great. But 100% of your success lies on your shoulders. Chilling with Dylan. You had a red day too, but still in the game. Joe, so close to passing combine, but no cigar, but controlled risk, so no harm, maybe tomorrow. Forget about the goal of passing the combine, Joe. Sit down tomorrow, start from zero, follow your process, and it'll happen. You try and force it to, things tend to go the wrong way. Joe, I'm happy. I'm excited for you. But don't be too excited. Just relax, start from zero, put together a nice day tomorrow, and you'll get to where you want to go. My goodness, good afternoon to you as well. PD Legend, good to see you. My goodness, stop is important, but too many stops make a drawdown, right? What do you do about it? Well, if you are placing stops at points of invalidation that you say are areas where if price advertises, then I'm probably wrong on this trade. It's never going to be perfect. We're never going to be perfect. But if you place stops based on how much you want to lose per trade, let's say in the S&Ps, I only want to risk 4 ticks on every trade. You're going to die by 1,000 cuts, especially when volatility comes into the marketplace. Volatility makes wider stops, smaller position sizing, but wider stops. The market tends to go a little bit further. So when you're recognizing, and think about this, my goodness, when you're looking at a trade and you're thinking, okay, it looks like this level down here is where kind of price is telling me I'm probably going to be wrong on this trade. Place your entry based on the amount of risk you can handle to that stop level, instead of thinking it the other way, like, okay, I think it's going to be supportive here, so it's going to be supportive here, so I'm going to get in up here, and I'll just raise my stop up a little bit. Well, you're not getting in prime trade location. Your prime trade location usually is going to be directly related to where your risk is on the trade. So think about that. If you get in too early, you're expanding your risk. Think about where the market has to go to prove you wrong. Try and get into that trade as close to that possible level as you can. Sometimes you're going to miss the trade, but that's okay. I've found that it's better to miss a couple of trades now and again than to get in early, not put my legitimate risk in, lose money on the trade, and then watch the trade go my way anyway. Very frustrating. I don't like that. So think about, where's the risk first? How good can I get into this trade? Place the trades and see what happens. Place the orders and see what happens. Markets will surprise you sometimes. They're going to let you in sometimes, and those can be some of your better trades. Just something to think about. Tachyon, yeah, good support today, right? Adamowitz, will you show the entries and exits of the position? I'm not sure which position you're talking about, but Adam, we do have an opportunity to kind of think through some trades together, and you're even going to get the chance to vote on some of these trades. Come to Make Hogue Money tomorrow. Make Hogue Money tomorrow is right. Oh, that's the wrong computer. Sorry. Here a second. Let me move that. That's the wrong URL. I'm a mess. Just a mess. All right, let me get this straight here. Okay. Make Hogue Money tomorrow. Goodness. So I'm not sure which position you're talking about, entries and exits. However, tomorrow we do have Make Hogue Money. It's 8:20, right after the market forecast. We're going to go into a Zoom room. You're going to be able to raise your hand, even speak, and even share your charts. If there's something you want to show us that we can vote on to take a trade, it's a great opportunity for us to kind of trade and look at things and think things through together. I think it's a really good opportunity for you to kind of get a look at what we're looking at or what somebody else is looking at. Sometimes even I might add some input to it, but we vote on all this stuff. So it's I think it's a great opportunity to get what you're looking for in real time. Dante, anytime we have FOMC, we're not allowed to trade, correct? FOMC release, the meetings release, not the minutes. Minutes are fine. You can trade through those. It's the FOMC meeting release when they change interest rates. Joe, my pleasure. Zach, saying hello to the trade family. I just love that. Started my combine this week. Great community. Really enjoy these videos. Thanks. My pleasure. I'm going to say that is pronounced Stoby. Mason, good to see you, sir, and thank you. Zach, Tachyon, I agree with Zach. Everybody appreciates your sharing of your experience. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. No, not a lot of people are comfortable talking about things that when we don't have good days. Most forums, you'd swear nobody ever took a loss, and that's not the truth. That's for sure. Kevin, on a gap, if you get involved on a pullback towards the open, how far below the open do you let price go towards it, accepting going further into the gap? If you get involved on a pullback towards the open, so on a gap, let's say you're gapping higher, Kevin, I think you're saying, if we take the short to the gap close, how far below the open do you let price go towards it, accepting going further into the gap? Well, sometimes the gap opening, if it goes and closes the gap close itself can be supportive. We've seen that in a couple of markets. I'm trying to think if we've seen one today. It's all about context, Kevin. Remember, you're in a market that's moving lower over time. You get a higher opening. The overnight inventory is long. Maybe you're up against some sort of resistance level. That's an opportunity that I would think about. I would think about staying in that trade and seeing if we can reaccept inside the previous day's range after the gap close. Maybe even a value area special situation trade. If we're moving lower and we open and we open lower and we close that gap, that's a probably more of a situation where I would think about taking the profit at the gap close. All of it is, of course, subjective, as I know and you're saying right there. Adam, greetings from Poland. Welcome, Adam. We're glad that you're here. We're hoping we're going to help. Mr. TNT, 8:20 Central Time. Yes. So that would be 9:20 Brooklyn. 9:20 Brooklyn side. Really glad to see you're here, Adam. And hopefully, I'm going to be seeing your success very soon. Afternoon, Kyle. No, not closed gap yet. Still holding above, but probing lower from the open. Well, simple gap rules is if we can't close that gap relatively early, I know that's a very subjective term, then we look to go in the direction of the gap. So if I'm holding a short and a gap higher open, and we're not successful at closing that gap, again, relatively early, and we got to think about things in the market's time. When I'm in a position, 2 minutes can seem like an hour. What's a reasonable time to expect a gap close, depending on the situation, the context, the overnight inventory, and all of those things? I'm thinking, sometimes you're going to get the gap fill right away. Sometimes the market's going to lollygag and it's going to take an hour and a half. And I still consider an hour and a half early enough to see a gap close. So again, like you said, everything is subjective. But, as long as you've got the gap, maybe the opening range is the high of the session, you're short, you're looking to see if we can get closer to closing the gap. The market state is in your direction, as long as it's not 2.5 hours later and you're still sitting in this trade with no real profit or loss on it. That's something I would think, okay, this just isn't going my way. I'm going to get out of that and wait for something else to try and to kind of come up. And I hope that that's a sufficient answer for you, Kevin. I know you're an extremely experienced trader, and I respect your thoughts, ideas, and the things that you send me, and you're always very kind to me. So I'm trying to, in a kind of spatial way, talk about how I would look at the time it takes. What's a reasonable amount of time? And it's usually going to be different in every day. But if I'm sitting in a trade and I'm looking for a gap close and it hasn't happened in a couple of hours and I'm really not making any money on it, I'm not going to stick around for something like that. And I really appreciate the question and the idea and the challenge. Thank you, Kevin. All right. Why don't we take a quick gander through our charts and see what we saw today and what we might be thinking about tomorrow. Here's crude oil. Excellent, Kevin. I'm glad that makes sense. So crude, very indecisive still. I mean, we're just still in 4 days now in range and value. Very low open interest change yesterday, very low volume today. There's just not a lot of things going on here. But when we think about what the market's job is to facilitate trade. It's not going to stick around here much longer because it's running out of its ability to facilitate trade. Volume's dying off. Just needs some sort of impetus to look for business in different areas and different prices. Now, this morning we talked about 1170 being kind of an important extreme of the area of balance we never really got to. What about 18? We got to 10860 as kind of another extreme of the balance that we never really got to. This market is very narrow. We've got settlement here, settlement here, settlement here. We're going to have settlement about here. And look at value. Value high low, value high low, value high low, value high low. Very little change. If I were to just take this profile, look at how even this is. Look at how used up this space is to facilitate trade. When you see a profile that is this even as far as the bell curve, there's a change coming here. There's a change coming here. This 4-day profile is so even. The point of control is relatively close to center. We got nice, even outside value areas, relatively smooth look. There's a change coming. This market is running out of patience with this area. I don't know when it's going to happen or what direction, but there's a change coming. What do we see as volume today? We saw low volume. We probably see low open interest. But once this market gets tired of this area, something is going to knock it one way or the other, and it might end up being a substantial move. And we could have sat all day waiting for those levels, which we never reached. S&P's downside structure still remains. What do we do today? Left the opening range at the low of the session, bordering value high from yesterday. Three sessions, one time framing higher before pulling back to, I would assume this might have been value low approximately at that time, just a little below value, and resolving higher by the end of the session. It's coming off a little bit now, but we added 7,700 in open interest on this move to the upside yesterday. We have outright higher value today. If we continue to bring in open interest tomorrow, then we may have maybe found some buyers. I'm not really sure. I'm not real confident in my vision of this market today, or at this time, I should say. It's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. I really want to see what happens overnight, and I want to see what happens with open interest. And don't forget, we're coming into rollover. 2 weeks into June, that Thursday, we're going to be looking at rollover, and so things might tighten up for us in these equities, provided no bad news comes into the marketplace. Here's the Nasdaq downside structure. Similar, I believe the opening range was the low of the session, and we actually opened inside value. So something that probably would have had me waiting for opportunities. Brings us up to here, comes back to value low. We resolve to the upside, and now we're kind of resolving back to the downside. How is volume today in the Nasdaq? The weaker of the markets, low volume, not tremendous. Gold. We were so short in the overnight inventory up against that weekly kickoff level. I was sure we were going to see a better opportunity today. Here's the 30-minute chart. Settlement was all the way up here, 1865.40. We opened here. We had all of this overnight inventory to the short side. We took one look back towards them, towards scaring them out of those positions. We ended up bringing in some sellers in regular trading hours. We have negative delta, so I don't think that this was longer time traders, longer time frame sellers. Finally, we scared out our shorts. We ended up too short in the hole here, and ended up bringing price back above the weekly kickoff high, but not before settling below. So we've got one settlement yesterday above weekly kickoff low. Not all that encouraging for continuation. This market's been tough lately. They're all tough. So a kind of similar situation here in the euro as in crude oil. I mean, they almost look the same. Settlement all the way up here in the euro was 107.33.5 ticks. A lot of overnight shorts. We didn't really get the push to the downside in the euro, but we danced around a weekly kickoff high here, and I believe we ended up closing it higher, where in gold we did not. 10-year. We've got just a gentle little upside swing going on here, don't we? Overall, in short time frame, we've got higher highs and higher lows. overall big time, we've got lower highs and lower lows. Are we at risk of changing market state and seeing bond prices going higher, expecting yields to go higher this year? At some point, this has got to break. Here's the 30. Here's what we're talking about. The market opens, it looks higher, comes back into value, and stays inside yesterday's value all day. Value low inside yesterday's. Value high inside yesterday's. I feel bad for those that were looking for big opportunities in their treasuries today because it just did not want to budge. It's kind of like my dog Lacey when she's asleep and I want to get past her or something. I just have to literally walk over her or push her out of the way because she don't want to move. And that I'm going to call Lacey 10 years tonight. She's been sleeping on my feet all day long, and if I get up, she gets mad at me. I think she's in a bad mood because it was rainy this morning, and it just rained a little while ago, but the sun's out now, girl. We'll go out in a little bit. Nat gas. A lot of folks freaking out that it's over $9. I mean, we haven't seen that since 2008. But we did not find continuation to the upside to some degree. Volume is increasing, of course. We're at the end of rollover. 30-minute chart. We had this big push to the upside when we finally found some acceptance over $9. Did we even close above $9? I'm betting we did not. I'm betting we closed below that $9 level. And you need to see what kind of open interest comes in tomorrow. If we lose open interest, I would look at this as an opportunity for some of our recent longs to take a little bit of a profit. It'd be interesting to watch this market tomorrow. It's always interesting to watch these markets. And if nothing else, what the heck would I do? All right. If the lettering is orange, you're not in the front month. Okay. Currently, the front month in gold is June, which is M. And they may have already rolled you into July, which is kind of a non-used month. Thursday's rollover for gold, so probably going to be trading gold, August gold tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. I'll check the volumes before I get involved, and if volume's greater or even in August over the June contract, I'll move over. But make sure that you're in the right contract month. As a matter of fact, I would just go right to the August, which is Q. Because that's probably where we're going to be trading tomorrow. Glitter sandwich. Yeah, that was quite the reversal in that gas today, wasn't it? I don't know what that was about. I guess we'll find out. What happened on this day? Something really cool happened on this day. May 25th, 1787, the Constitutional Convention begins. When they sit down and write the Constitution. That beautiful statement, that beautiful document. 1977, Star Wars opened in theaters. 1935, on this day, Babe Ruth hits his last home run. 1961, JFK asked Congress to support the space program. What about in music? I kind of looked through this. This would have been a really cool concert to go see in 1969, on this date, The Who and Led Zeppelin appeared on the same stage. This was the only time the two groups ever appeared together. And Led Zeppelin was the opening act, who had been around for a while before then. 1968, Simon and Garfunkel scored their second number one album with Bookends. The song Mrs. Robinson was on that album. In 1965, Sonny Boy Williamson, a blues harmonica player, singer, and songwriter, died in his sleep in 1965. Van Morrison, Aerosmith, The Who, The Animals, The Yardbirds, Moody Blues, all covered his songs. According to Led Zeppelin biography, Hammer of the Gods, which I did read, it's a fascinating movie. Touring in the UK in the 60s, Sonny Boy set his hotel room on fire while trying to cook a rabbit in a coffee percolator. What is it about rock stars and musicians that have a problem with hotel rooms? Carole King in 1973 played a concert in New York Central Park on this day, which attracted an audience of 100,000. 1985, Dire Straits scored their second number one UK album, Brothers in Arms. I don't really know any of the birthdays. Not everybody knows everything, right? Okay. Both Snowflake and Nvidia both post lower earnings. That's probably why we're pulling back a little bit here, huh, Kevin? This day in hip-hop history, Eminem released his album Marshall Mathers. Did not know that. Thank you, Mr. TNT. What's the best method you recommend to master the riddle of the trading combine? Scalping, setting limit orders. I consider this a lot, and I've put a lot of thought into the way I think it's important. And there's no one way to skin a cat. To me, it's always about the process. Do your homework. Set your hypotheses. Look for asymmetric opportunities. In other words, you don't take a trade unless you can realize a greater profit than the risk you take to take the trade. I would say by 2 to 1. Take the trades that are part of your strategy and your process. Only the trades that are part of your strategy and part of your process. Review yourself at the end of the day on your performance on sticking to your process. Review how your process performed, and then go to bed. And then get up in the morning and do your homework. Keep your lens consistent. Keep your reward over risk, your thirst for the asymmetric opportunity peaked. Take the trades in your strategy and your process. Avoid the anger, venom, emotion, the things that take you out of your process and your strategy. If you find yourself faced with those, sometimes you're better off just walking away. I know it's difficult because we always have this. It's what if the next trade's going to be the one that's going to make the money back? And we've all done it. We've all succeeded at bringing a day back from the hole, if you will. And then we start to think that's what we should do every time. But 99 times out of 100, that's not it. So recognize when you are compromised by your emotions and anger. Do your homework, consistent lens, consistent view of the market. Do your homework, trade your strategy and your process, review your trading day at the end of the day. Not only what you did, why you did it, was it in process or was it out of process? How did it make you feel inside? Try and relive some of those trades. And and then start preparing for the next day. This is a very difficult thing to do, and if you think that you're gonna just kind of put together a process and then that process is just gonna work all the time, it's not necessarily that way. We really have to work at being prepared. At the end of the session today, I'm gonna collect all my information, volumes, deltas. I'm gonna put that all in my spreadsheet. I'm gonna look at it. I'm going to take a look at the trades that I took today. I'm going to try and relive myself through those trades in 10, 15, 20 seconds just to try and relive them, because I feel like if I relive them, I'm going to speed my learning curve. And I've got a very long learning curve. I've been at this for a long time, and I still do that. And I'm going to start my homework tonight. I'm going to say, okay, here's the settlements. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what happened today. What is the market attempting to do? Is it attempting to do anything? How good of a job is it doing in what it's attempting to do? What am I thinking might happen in the overnight? I don't get too crazy overnight, but I'm up at 5:30 every morning, sitting right here, doing homework for myself and my trading, and doing homework for the market forecast, and doing homework for the people that I work with in a closer regard, and just trying to get my head wrapped around it. I can't sit down at 8:29 and look at the S&Ps and go, oh, I know what's going on. Bink. Usually doesn't work for me. Maybe it'll work for you, but it is all about that consistency. You want consistency? Bring consistency. Thanks, Kevin. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It's a long recap, but it doesn't bother me. I can talk trading with traders all day long, and I appreciate my trader family here. I appreciate my family. Say a prayer for peace. Hug your loved ones. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. If we can all do that, the world will be a much better place. Blessings, everyone. Get some rest tonight. We got another fun and exciting trading day tomorrow. Blessings to you all, and I'll see you at 7:45 for the market forecast.